Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Big H Podcast. My name is Mike Heise, and with me today is high school senior Austin DeLorme. Austin, it is great to have you along for the ride.
It's great to have me on. Thank you so much.
All right. Usually when we get started, I like to ask, what's a day like in the life of Austin DeLorme? You're a senior, getting ready to graduate in June.
Mm-hmm.
How's your day?
My day is I wake up, get breakfast, drive to school, go to school throughout the day. Usually on an average day after school, I'll be doing some type of club or activity, whether it's Model UN or anything else. Go home, maybe hang out with friends, maybe have a study session with a few people, and then eat dinner, hang out with family for a few hours, and rinse and repeat. It's a very simple day, but it's a good day.
Are you a man of routine?
Most of the time, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously deviation is good.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time I try to stick to one thing and just keep with that for my whole week.
Okay.
It's nice though.
Well, throughout this podcast, we're going to learn a lot about those friends, those clubs,
Mm-hmm.
those courses that you're taking, and maybe some influential people in your life. When we first start off with some biographical information, where you were born, a little bit about your parents, and any siblings that you have.
Okay, so I was born, raised Rochester, New York. Grew up in Hilton for my whole life. Was out in Clarkson when I was born, but I've always been in the district. And I moved to Hilton probably when I was 12 or 13. Live in the village now with my mom and my stepdad, Danielle, and my stepdad, Michael. And I was influenced when I was younger by my grandparents too. They were a big part of my life, my upbringing. And I had a very happy childhood. I can't think of anything negative to say. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was blessed with great opportunities and great family and great community members to guide me.
Yeah, I think it's great when you give reference and recognition to your grandparents. I remember when I was getting married, and the Reverend at that time said, well, you have to honor grandparents at wedding services. Talk a little bit about that influence that your grandparents gave you.
So my grandparents have been a rock for the family. When I was younger, my mom and dad were separated, so my mom was out working all the time. So my grandparents were a big help in being able to watch me and raise me when I was younger. And they instilled a lot of values in me that I think I still carry today, whether it was my work ethic or, many other things. They just really kind of pushed me to be the best version of myself. And that, again, translated later in life to clubs that I've done, to political groups that I've worked with, or activities. Again, I'm thankful. I a ton of praise, like you said, to grandparents, because we overlook what older people do for younger people in our lives. And even though parents are amazing, my mom was amazing. She provided for me and she gave me so many great opportunities. Without grandparents, you miss out on a lot of learning opportunities and experiences.
And so you talk about mom, dad, and then a stepdad. What did they do for an occupations? And tell me a little bit about them.
So my mom was always in the healthcare field growing up. She always worked side jobs, but she primarily focused in healthcare. She worked in mental health as an administrator for the University of Rochester. She worked in assisted living. She worked at the hospital. And now, a few years ago, she moved over to education side of the university. And she's now an administrator with the math department.
Okay.
So that's what she does. My stepfather, he is a manager for a manufacturing company in Rochester. He loves his job. I think it's great because not a ton of people are into manufacturing anymore.
Right.
And it's one of those jobs that you're like, oh, don't hear that often when you're talking to people. And then my father, he was in the military growing up. He's an Air Force veteran. And he worked in Homeland Security. He worked for the government, and then he moved private sector for cybersecurity.
And is he still with us?
No, my father, he passed away in January of this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it must have been tough on a kid, senior year.
Yeah, it definitely was a tough time. but I had a lot of loving and supportive
Mhm.
friends that helped me along the way.
Mhm.
Because like you said, being in your senior year, it's tough when you lose a parent.
Mhm.
And I think that experience gave me insight into the struggles of a lot of my peers.
Mhm.
Because once that happened, I started talking to other people
Mhm.
and realizing the tough experiences and challenges that they had that were somewhat similar to me.
Mhm.
And it kind of woke me up into saying, I'm not special in any way. People go through crappy things in life,
Mhm.
but you bounce back,
Mhm.
you learn from those experiences, and you grow.
And go back to that reverend that married me and talked about honoring grandparents. He used to say he knows everybody in the audience at his services, and everybody's going through something that may be different, but it weighs upon them just as much. And you said you had a couple siblings earlier when I was talking to you off camera.
Yeah. I have two half siblings. I have a sister who's younger than me by a year. She goes to Gates Chi. And then I have another half sister who's about 4 or 5 now. She lives in Hilton.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me a little bit about that younger sister. You had some gleam in your eye when you talked about her.
Yeah, that younger sister, I find it so funny because she was born around COVID times.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody thinks, like, oh, the COVID baby, like,
Mm-hmm.
they don't get out, they don't socialize. And every time I'm over and we're out in public, she's like, oh, hi. It's just, is always talking to people and always socializing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I see that through my dad in a
Mm-hmm.
way of how he was so social with people.
Right.
And it's funny. It's nice to see those things because you sit there and you reflect and you're like, oh, it's a nice little thing to look at in life.
So like being the big brother.
It's interesting,
Mm-hmm.
especially with my old sister who's a year younger than me. She wants to be all on her own and independent, and we're best friends. And now it's nice. And now it's like we're just best buddies now that we've gone through our lives together.
Mm-hmm.
And the youngest, it's like raising
Right.
younger sister in a
Mm-hmm.
way. You got to try to be there all the time, but no, it's a great opportunity. It's a great blessing that I have.
So you said your mom was in the mental health and then she went into the education. Is she stay-at-home mom now, or is she back in working and raising a kid?
Oh, so my half sisters were with my dad
Okay.
and his
Gotcha.
previous relationships.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm my mom's only child.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom was like, one and done. I was gonna have my one and done, and I was like, okay, mom, okay, I guess that's how it's gonna go. But yeah, she still works at the university.
Okay, good. Now let's get into a little bit because I know I work at the Village, and that's where you went through. Tell me a little bit about your kindergarten through 6th grade education. Maybe some memories, positive, negative, teachers, influential, that type of thing.
I always had very good memories of elementary school. I was never really as involved in clubs or sports or activities in elementary school. I was kind of a quiet child in a way. I just had my close knit group of friends that I would want to socialize with and eat lunch with and, go out to recess with. But I had a lot of great influential teachers in elementary school. Even starting in kindergarten and 1st grade, I had trouble reading at first, which was a big struggle for me. And I didn't really know how to overcome that challenge at the time. And if it wasn't for my teachers then, Miss DeJacco and Miss O'Leary, I think she's retired now, Miss O'Leary, I wouldn't have been able to overcome those challenges. So I'm grateful for those teachers for, speaking up and saying, hey, this kid needs extra help. He needs to get on pace with everybody else. And now I'm excelling. I'm in all accelerated courses. So it helped. Definitely helped.
So that means you're proof positive that even if you start out a little bit behind, that you can increase to advance. What helped you besides getting that extra help at home, or excuse me, in school? Did you have extra help at home? Like what was mom like, and was she able to spur you on and give you a nudge?
Oh, it was a ton of help at home. It was flashcards, doing flashcards for reading and writing review, and my grandparents doing the same thing after school. It was, I'd get home and I'd be miserable. I'd be like, oh no, the flashcards are coming out. They'd be like, you gotta do your flashcards. And I'm like, don't make me. I just want to go outside and play. I want to do my thing. And they're like, you gotta. But it was that push that, like I said, it got got me to where I am, and now I'm excelling. So yeah.
Any what type of hobbies did you pick up when you were younger, or you just sometimes it's the best thing about is I just want to go play.
Yeah.
But did you have any particular hobbies in specific?
When I was younger, it was kind of that like I want to go outside and just play mentality. I'd always be around the neighborhood with friends. But I did have some hobbies, like I like to go fishing with my grandpa. That was, I mean, I remember a lot of fishing trips with him and my mom, and just being outdoors. I have a lot of good memories just being outdoors with family.
And then, so you get kindergarten through 6. Now you move over to the middle school. It's always a tough transition. Well, I don't want to say always. You never can always say always and never say never. But that adolescent years and stuff. What was the middle school like?
Middle school was definitely an adjustment. I had a tough time in middle school. I was still trying to figure out who I was as a person. I think middle school is the time when I started to get involved in clubs and groups and activities. And I think it was 7th or I think it was 8th grade. Yeah, I started getting involved with student council. That's how I found my kind of purpose for public service in a way. I find that very, very fulfilling at the time, and I still do. Because I find it nice to be able to talk to people and hear people and their concerns and bring it to light. And then obviously during my 8th grade year, the second half was the start of COVID. So that's not a fun time to be in middle school and go through COVID. But, you know, I found ways to occupy my time once that started, just by volunteering and trying to get out and do things with friends.
So you said you got involved in student council. Were you a student council rep, or were you sitting on VP, president? You know, like what was your level of involvement there?
So in 7th grade, I just started attending meetings. There was really no role that you could fill. So I was just a student council member. And then 8th grade, I ran for president. I was like, you know, I just had a lot of ideas, and a lot of students came to me with concerns and said, you know, like, we'd like you to fix X, Y, and Z. And I was like, okay, well, there's no harm in trying. So I ran and I won. And then that continued over into high school, me continuing to serve as a student council president. And it was a great time. It was a great time. And then, like I said, COVID happened.
Hit.
And then that kind of put a wrench in plans. But I was very happy with what I was able to do at the time.
So you talked about people came to you and said, hey, these are things that you could fix with X, Y, and Z. What were some things that you were pretty proud of in middle school that you were able to bring to the forefront of maybe your principal, vice principal, or the school?
I think one of the things that is always a problem, and even continues to be a problem in higher education and elementary education, is bullying. And a lot of students would come to me and say, you know, there's always a bully in certain aspects or certain social groups. And they'd be like, you know, we need to do something to be able to fix this, because it's not fun for anybody to have to go through that. So I tried to get student council involved with anti-bullying initiatives, and I continued to do that in high school. That, and then the big thing in the middle school is phones. Everybody wanted to have their phones, but there was certain areas you couldn't. And I was like, you know, I'm willing to talk to administration about it. Probably won't get fixed, but you know, I will at least have the conversation. And I did. I had multiple conversations about it, but I was at least proud that even if we weren't able to get anything done at the time, we at least were able to have a dialogue about it, because dialogue is the start to meaningful change. So those were my accomplishments that I was happy about.
What are some teachers that had an effect on you? They're influential. Anything you remember?
Miss Tenney, my 7th and 8th grade social studies teacher. She is one of the first people that actually made me pay attention to politics. Because part of the curriculum, you know, was you got to learn about all the boring stuff in history. But she would relate what was happening, you know, 1800s American society to, you know, modern day. And she would always have us have group discussions. And it was never, this is what you should be thinking, or this is what I want you to think on a certain topic. It was, okay, have an open dialogue, think critically, listen to your peers, be somebody who isn't closed-minded, but open-minded in certain conversations or difficult topics.
Mm-hmm.
And I think without her, I wouldn't have got as involved or interested in politics.
Mm-hmm.
Because she opened a door to look at all the amazing opportunities that you can gain from doing, hands-on advocacy work.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I will always remember Miss Tenney as being one of my influential teachers in middle school.
Good. Now, then you also went through COVID. What was remote education like, if you can think back to those times?
I was definitely not a fan.
Mm-hmm.
8th grade, there wasn't a ton that we did just because it was very new.
Was that March of 2020?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's when they shut school out, and you.
Yeah,
Okay.
they told us it was going to be 2 weeks and then 2 more and 2 more and so on. But I remember at first there wasn't a ton of work, and then high school started.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh crap, we actually we do have to focus in a little and start actually doing things,
Right.
because there wasn't much emphasis on doing anything in middle school. But then 9th grade came around, wasn't a fan still, didn't like the Zooms, the pauses and the freezes. That wasn't fun. But once 10th grade turned around and rolled around, we started to get back to somewhat normal.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot better. I had a good time in 9th grade.
Mm-hmm.
All my teachers were amazing. All my teachers were nice, especially with that transition and COVID. They were very understanding and very cognizant of, okay, this is a different batch of kids from what we're used to. But they were very accommodating in being able to understand what my class went through specifically.
Because you were really dealing with two different transitions. You had the COVID transition from remote education, and then to the big high school.
Yeah.
Where talk a little bit about that, what that might have looked like and what you remember about it.
I remember it was definitely scary at first, because it's like you hear it's like the high school movies, you get thrown in the fish tank, and
right.
you got the seniors, and you're all scared. But everybody was very nice.
Mm-hmm.
All the seniors were very nice. All the students were very nice, and kind of, because I'm in the band at school, and those seniors kind of mentored me when I first went in as a freshman, kind of through the years, and then the next group of seniors, and the next group of seniors, and now I'm a senior, and it's like, okay, now I've kind of had an influence on some other members in the band and trying to get them involved. But I just remember mainly being focused on band and it being a family, because that's where a lot of my friendships started. And then it grew to other areas and other clubs, which I was really happy with.
Who have been your band teachers at the high school?
Okay.
And what instrument did you play?
So I play trumpet in the jazz band and the wind ensemble. And our teacher right now is Mr. Strife.
Okay.
He has been amazing. Every step of the way, and when it's come to my music education, he's helped me. You want to go down for more help or an extra lesson for jazz? He's like, okay, put it on the calendar. Come down. I mean, there's never been a time, I think, where I've asked for help and it's been, oh, I'm busy, or no, I can't right now. It's been, okay, let's figure something out, which is really special compared to a lot of other subjects, because a lot of teachers are heavily involved, and it's nice when you have a teacher that's kind of the bedrock for a certain community or group of students.
So you went from that early on where you had struggled with reading, and now you're in the high school. Talk a little bit about some of the coursework you did throughout your high school years.
So I was lucky enough, before COVID started, in middle school, I got advanced placement in science, and I got an advanced placement in history, which I was very happy about, because history has always been a subject I've exceeded on compared to standards. And then with that, I took IB courses for English, and I took accelerated courses for math. And I'm blown away with all the stuff that we have at Hilton, because a lot of other schools, don't provide as many courses or as many opportunities that we have. But I'm grateful that at least it's offered to me, because without a lot of these opportunities, especially when it comes to history, I mean, I want to go for political science in college. Without having these courses set up, I don't think I would be in as good a position for college compared to other students. So it's nice to be able to know that I have, a bedrock starting my next level of education.
Going back to the teachers, what teachers have like been a driving force for you?
I would say in high school, it was my history teacher, Miss Burke.
Mm-hmm.
She was somebody, again, kind of like Miss Tenney, that was having difficult conversations, but doing it in a way that was constructive and doing it in a way that was respectful. And she was always, and she's the Model UN advisor too.
Okay. And then you're in the Model UN?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm the president of the Model UN. So having that relationship with her in those two respects, you really get to know your teachers in high school, which I don't know if it's a unique experience or if that's a common shared experience with students, but I'm glad that I get to build these relationships with teachers because it's a safety net.
Mm-hmm.
It's when something tough happens, like early in the year when my dad passed, I had a lot of teachers that I could fall back on, like Miss Burke, and say, I need a little extra help. I'm kind of struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And she was, okay, we'll do what we need to do. We'll get ahead of the ball on that one. So
you said that you really like history. Is there a particular history, American history, European, Asian, any particular one in general?
I really like modern American history.
Okay.
I think it's really fascinating to look at 1900s onward or the 1920s onward, and look at the trends that have happened, because America is such a unique society compared to a lot of other nations or cultures. Because being in the IB program, you learn about world history.
Mm-hmm.
You learn from East Asia all the way to South America. And I really liked learning about those different cultures because it gave me new perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so nice to reevaluate and critically analyze your own
Mm-hmm.
in a way that necessarily isn't at face value for many people. Many
Mm-hmm.
people just, know the basic civics.
Mm-hmm.
They know, maybe know who their congressman is,
Mm-hmm.
and they might be able to go out and vote once every 4 years, but they don't really actually look at the structures that are put in place because of years and years of history.
Mm-hmm. Will you be graduating with an IB diploma?
I will not be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's very few.
Very few do.
Yeah,
I know
very few
that.
students do. I personally like the AP route.
Okay.
Like taking AP history classes.
Mm-hmm.
Because with a lot of those AP classes, you can get college credit that's
Mm-hmm.
transferred over. Which going for political science is really, really nice that
Mm-hmm.
you have, again, that bedrock when you start college. I've got my 101s out of the way. Now I can go on to more what I'm focused on with
Mm-hmm.
my degree.
So in high school, then you were president of the Model UN.
Mm-hmm.
What were your responsibilities in that role?
So Hilton Model UN is really special because we host a Model UN conference every year in November. And I help my advisor, Ms. Burke, coordinate that along with the Rochester Regional Model UN. And I do that in that role, but I also train new members and younger members for conferences, which is really special because a lot of people don't really know what Model UN is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a simulation of the United Nations where you go as a country and you speak for that country's role. And a lot of people that necessarily aren't as comfortable talking or public speaking, I find once they join our club and we kind of train them, they get out of their shell a little bit and they feel comfortable maybe defending topics or policies that they don't agree with. Because there's a lot of controversial countries that we're assigned sometimes or that we pick as a school. And it's good, again, going back to that open-mindedness, getting out of your shell and getting out of this closed mindset of what you think from Western society's viewpoint and saying, okay, let me put myself in another culture or person's shoes and trying to have ideas that come from that. It's unique. It's a very, very unique club. There's nothing like it really at Hilton or in schools.
When I was in college, I took a debate class, and professor was great. Still remember Dr. Sam Nelson. He said, if you can come to the point where you can argue the viewpoint that you disagree with, you've become a great debater.
Yeah.
I want to follow back into you've been involved in student council. Were you student council president this year as well?
I was not. I didn't go this year for student council.
Okay.
And and they got rid of the leadership roles last year. So now it's executive board.
Okay.
But I was on the executive board last year, and then the 2 years prior, I was the president for the class.
Okay.
But again, I had a great time doing that in my time as student council president. I tried to do a lot of different initiatives, whether it was with mental health or was anti-bullying, or it was just trying to fundraise for the class.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because I wanted everybody to have a great time for their senior year too. It was a rewarding opportunity, and it taught me a lot of lessons.
Mm-hmm. And then another club that's been started and you're involved in that is the Teen Republicans. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so at the beginning of this year, or I should say in the previous school year, I started looking into creating a Teen Republican chapter for the county, for Monroe County. And I got involved with that, and I now chair the Monroe County Teen Republicans. And I was talking to some people in Hilton, and there was a lot of interest about, creating a Teen Republican club. And I said, well, if we have the interest, why shouldn't we do it?
Mm-hmm.
So I talked to some friends. I was like, would you be interested? And they're like, yeah. So we set it up, had a great time setting it up. And we're the first high school in New York State to have a Teen Republican club. And then after that, I got a lot of phone calls from around the state and the other chapter leaders. I said, how do we do this? And I kind of helped them along in the process. And they set up chapters in Westchester County in high schools and in Queens, New York.
Okay.
So Hilton's doing a lot of firsts now.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of set a precedent for all the other chapters to fall in line to what we're doing. But I'm proud of what students here did, because we have a lot of activities that we put on and a lot of displays that we put on that honor or commemorate certain groups of people within not even just the high school, but the Hilton community in general. And that's really, really special that we're able to do that. And I'm grateful that we have students that are interested in providing these opportunities to people.
Explain a couple activities maybe that people aren't aware of that your group does.
So during Veterans Day, our group got a display case in the high school, and we honored some staff in the high school or in the school district in general that served. And we put their pictures up, and we had descriptions about them, and we had an American flag, and we had a lettering, and I think it was because of the home of the free, because of the brave.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was. And it was a really powerful message for students to look at, because oftentimes we forget what veterans and what people have done, so we can even have the freedom to make a display case. It sounds simple and it sounds silly, but it's true. And then most recently for Memorial Day, we did another display case that takes an excerpt from Flanders Field, a famous war poem. And then we had a silhouette of a soldier with poppies to represent veterans. And that was a really cool experience too. We had all hands on deck for that. We had all of our club members get involved with that. And it's things like that, even though it may look small, it still means a lot to a lot of people, because you don't necessarily know sometimes how people are impacted by certain things. But I was really happy with how they came out this year.
I've seen the pictures. Very nice.
Thank you.
Memorial Day is going to take on a special meaning for you this year too. So I don't want to get too emotional about that. So now you're going through high school, and now you're looking towards college. Where are you going to college, and how did that decision come about?
So I'm going to be going to the University of Rochester for political science and a possible minor in journalism. I picked U of R because I wanted to stay local. I really love Rochester, and I really want to give back to the community. I mean, being involved with the Teen Republicans, creating that, and being involved with, just political advocacy groups and talking to candidates and talking to elected officials, I have a great passion to serve the people in the community. And I think that was one of the reasons I wanted to stay local for my education. It also helps that my mom works at the university. It's nice to have somebody there too that has an insight into what day-to-day living is like on campus, and campus culture is. And walking around and going to our office and talking to students, it's a little community. Everybody is so in touch with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody has a relationship across all minors, whether you're in taking a pre-med track or whether you're political science or you're engineering. It was just everybody knew each other and had a relationship and had a friendship. And I thought that was really special compared to other colleges that I was looking at.
Are you going to live on campus? You're going to live at home and commute?
I'll be living at home in
Okay.
Hilton to commute. Yeah, campus living's a little pricey these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm like I can commute. It's good to be with family too right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Another thing that between when I decided I wanted you as a guest, you've made another decision to throw your hat in the ring. Tell our viewers a little bit about that.
Yes. So I decided a few months ago that I was going to be running for school board in Hilton. And I think one of the main motivating factors to that was that I have a lot that I want to still give back to the community.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I'm going to be leaving education in Hilton as a high school student, I still want to give back and do a lot of things that necessarily I didn't see in my time as a student in the district, or enact changes that I wished I could have seen. It's a unique opportunity because I'm so young.
Right.
A lot of people, are like, well, how are you gonna be on the school board and go to college? And it's, it's the same way that a parent full time is working and raising a kid, and some of members have part-time jobs and businesses, and they're still able to fulfill their responsibility. And if I was always taught growing up, because I was in a family of public servants, if you can do something to give back, do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason not to. So if I can, and the voters want to elect me and they want to give me the opportunity, I'd be grateful. If not, then, I'd still be involved in Hilton and in the community. It'd just be in different respects.
A podcaster I listen to, he's like 65 years old now. He's a lawyer, and he got on his village's school board at age 19. And he was real young, and it was a great experience for him. When I was at the family diner the other day in Hilton, I got your brochure. It was sitting there. I saw your sign out front and a couple of your bullet points: finding new ways to increase our district's math and reading proficiency scores.
Yeah.
How do you think we can do that?
So to give context to that, because a lot of people ask, like, what's wrong with our reading and math proficiency? Like, we're a great district. And I say, you give applause and credit where it's due. And Hilton is, comparative to the county schools, we are up there as one of, high achieving school and district, especially in the state too. But when you look at state standards for math and reading in elementary and middle school, Hilton hovers around the average line. And Hilton's an IB district, and we spend, a lot of time and effort and resources into training teachers to teach curriculum that's supposed to further education. And I don't think at this moment in time it's appropriate for our test scores, which is only one metric of measurement, but it's an important one, for our test scores to be so average with all the effort that we're trying to put into a program. So I would want to reevaluate Hilton's IB system and maybe try to give more AP equivalents, or try to look at other programs that would try to increase reading and math proficiency. But it would be a collaborative effort. It wouldn't be one brushstroke of get rid of IB and everything will be fixed, because that's not how you do things. It would have to be a lot of research and a lot of thought. But after that research and thought, I think when you look at everything in context, you would have to, take bits and pieces of certain programs and say, okay, we see this works, we see this doesn't work. Maybe we should try to reevaluate. And I just think a hard pause might be good to just step back and take a breath and say, okay, let's look at the entire environment as a whole and see what we can do to try and get those test scores up. Because, as I said, Hilton is a great district. We have great teachers, we have great students, and I don't think we should be settling for anything less than, near perfect when it comes to education.
It takes all stakeholders to,
Yeah.
Parents, administrators, teachers, students. It takes a village, as they say.
Yeah.
Minimizing tax increases for district residents while maintaining strategic academic goals.
So that was another huge reason that I wanted to run, was because of last year's budget proposal. Last year's budget increased the budget by almost 8%, or just over 8%. And I thought that was very fiscally irresponsible. And I understand there were other factors going into it, why we needed to increase the budget. But in times like now, in economic times like now, where families have to make really, really tough choices on certain extra activities that their kids are going to be doing, or even as simple as, putting food on the table.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really hard ask to raise the taxes by that much over a 1 year span. And this year, the budget is, only increasing by 2%,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is very, very fiscally responsible, seeing what we did last year. But I, if elected, would try to make sure that we minimize those increases to maybe 3 or 4% at most. Because, if a business raised their costs like that, they'd be out of business within a year. That's just it's not practical.
Providing further transparency and accountability of district officials about administrative decisions.
Mm-hmm. So a huge thing for me is looking at what Hilton has been through over the past few years. We all know what happened at Northwood, and we know the struggle that a lot of parents and students and community members went through when trying to get answers to a lot of their questions surrounding that. And I'm not saying as a board member I would go in and I would release everything and everything would be public, but if things were to happen in the future, I would definitely make sure that we would immediately release information to the community and not try to sweep things under the rug, not try to hide things from our community, because you said it takes a village. And if it takes a village, everybody in that village should be informed on what's happening and what's going on. So just making sure that we, as board members, hold administrators accountable for their actions and what they're doing, because at the end of the day, the board is the head of the community, the education community at large. So it's a reflection not just of us, but as a school in general, of the actions that we take. And it's not acceptable when we don't put ourselves to a high standard.
Reevaluating Hilton's IB for, I think you already covered that about their status, and then maintaining safety and security so we can provide a first action free learning environment to all students.
So that again was one from last year, what translated with the bomb threats, because I find it crazy that in my time just in high school as a student, the amount of stay in places I've had to experience, the evacuations that I've had to experience, the police being called to the school, it's really distracting to a student and to teachers. And we have to reevaluate our security measures. I know we've come a long way already over the past year from the bomb threats that have happened, but I think there's more that we can do in other areas, especially when it comes to emergency response for current and direct threats, such as a possible shooter. I think that we should evaluate maybe having an armed resource officer within the district, or at least having somebody that is trained and has access to maybe a firearm in case of an emergency. And I think another candidate brought it up. I wouldn't go as far as say teachers. I think that would be a step too far, but definitely, because our security officers are either ex-military or they're former sheriffs or police officers. They have the experience. They've had the experience for years and they're retired. And, I think if we were to implement that, it would be just another step, another additional safety net. And it's something that I wish we never have to use. We never should have to use it if our other systems are in place. But, having that as another layer is good in context of the big picture.
Because as a teacher, I could definitely say that over the course of the years, they have made secure entrances and exits. And I think it did come up with the firearms and it got pushed back at the last thing.
Yeah.
Because that is obviously a very controversial topic. But unfortunately, in today's society, it's something that as a school board member, you would have to think about and talk to about community members, just as if you were you want to increase the test scores. I mean, it's going to be tough on the shoulders, especially of an 18-year-old.
Well, I
ahead.
would say too, it's not a decision that you would make quickly or lightly. It definitely wouldn't be something that I would take as an easy choice. Definitely wouldn't be easy. It would, again, take collaboration from all stakeholders and taking their views and opinions into account. But I don't know, once the facts are presented, I might feel differently. But at least taking the initiative to research it further now compared to the last time that it was proposed, with all the things that have happened, would be interesting, to say the least.
Did a podcast a couple weeks ago with a gentleman who is in governmental services, and he said that sometimes when he was serving, people would come to the board meetings and they would just shoot from the hip, and they're like, and he said they have to sometimes realize we're still in the gathering information stage and we haven't we haven't decided a proposal. So it's like you just said, it's you got to take information from everybody, and then move forward.
Well, and that's part of government and public service. Not everybody's always going to be happy, but I at least say that if I were to be on the board, and I've done this in my time, whether it's been in county political advocacy groups or in student council, no one ever was wondering what I was thinking. No one was ever doubtful of my intentions or actions. What I did and what I said I was going to do, I followed through with. And there was never like a wavering moment of, oh, Austin said he was going to do this, but he didn't, or he said he was going to listen to us about X, Y, and Z, but he didn't. It was always a collaborative effort. And as long as we have that, I think we'll be in a really, really good place as a district. So if I were to be elected and the community gives me that chance, then they would be able to feel comfortable knowing that what I say at meetings or what I try to communicate with the community is truly what I believe. And I'm not trying to hide anything or mask anything.
I asked Ms. Tobias and Dr. Gaup some words to describe you, and words I got were goal-oriented, determined, passionate. They actually, both of them almost described the same type of wording about you. Open-minded was one of them. What's 3 words you would use to describe yourself?
Oh, that's tough.
I know, and that's why I asked it.
Yeah. I would probably describe myself as passionate. I probably would describe myself as goal-oriented. And the third one, I feel like I would describe myself as a good communicator. Because, like I said, no one ever wonders what I'm thinking. And people might not agree with what I'm thinking or like what I'm thinking, but having those dialogues are important in all aspects of whatever I've done as a student or in the community. Without those open dialogues, you'd never get anything done. And it'd be really, really hard to have effective government structures, whether it's in student council or it's with political boards. I mean, you're always going to have disagreements. That's a fact of life. But if you can communicate that clearly, you'll always be in a good place.
The first 2 were, you gave were ones that Ms. Tobias and Dr. Cup, but I could definitely say from talking to you for 20 minutes that I definitely think you're a clear, good communicator. If you want to go to college to be a communication major, well, journalism is going to be communicating, and political science, you'll be using it. As we end up the podcast, some more fun questions. Actually, another serious question.
Okay.
Social media, how's that affected the youth of today? I see so many things about TikTok, and it's infecting brains and all that. What do you think about it?
I think social media can be both a very important tool that we can use, but misused, it's very, very dangerous. Like, for example, in the district, I think that us having district social media is important to communicate to residents what's happening. Because not everybody's going to the district website every single day as a student is to log in to computers or technology. But a lot of the time, social media is misused by students as well. Like I was saying earlier with bullying campaigns, a lot of bullying isn't direct anymore. It used to be if somebody had a problem or if somebody was trying to be confrontational, it's face-to-face. Now it's a text message or over Snap or over Instagram message, and it can get really nasty. And I think that we have to reevaluate the social media education that we're giving, because there is, to an extent, education that's given in schools about proper social media use, but it kind of falls on deaf ears a lot of the time. Students don't really take it seriously. Students don't think that it needs to be taken seriously. But then you look at really, really sad cases of social media bullying where I know in other districts, and you see it nationally once in a while, there'll be a case of bullying for specific problems or issues with somebody's identity. And then students might go through with self-harm or committing suicide. And that's never something that I ever want to have to experience in the district if I was on the board, is knowing that we could have done something and we could have had a comprehensive conversation about it, and we chose not to. So making sure that we institute that somehow as part of, I know in Hilton we have social emotional learning that the state mandates, bringing that into the conversation, because that should be just as important as anything else, as just, basic civility with each other.
Favorite TV show, if you ever have any time to sit down and watch one, or if it could be a binge show, something like that.
I was, for a while, I was into Designated Survivor on Netflix. I found that I was late to the party. I was late to the party on seeing that when it was posted, but I always like to watch that once in a while because I haven't got 100% through. And that's a nice Netflix show, just when you're stressed or maybe you're bored and you're like, I just want to have something on in the background.
I think I know what it is, but can you describe the plot in a little bit, what that's about? Is that when the government gets bombed and they have...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I find it interesting because it is really based off of what could happen, scenarios that we plan for. And it was in the show, the president is at the State of the Union, and then there's an attack on the Capitol and the whole government gets wiped out. And then during the State of the Union, in real life, there's always one person that is the designated survivor in case something happens. And in the show, he takes over, becomes president. He wasn't really as involved in government, or he was involved in government but didn't hold a very high position. So he's a very humble leader, and he's somebody that is very stressed in the moment, but learns on the job very quickly what it takes to be president, what it takes to lead. And it's an interesting plot. I really like it. I think it's an interesting watch if somebody has time to be able to watch it.
Who plays the role of the designated survivor?
Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think.
It's not Kiefer Sutherland, is it?
I think it is.
Okay.
I think it is. Yeah, I think it might be. I couldn't remember his name.
Pulled that out of my head.
Yeah, hey, you knew it before me. I watched in the show. I'm like,
I watched 24 too. He was in 24.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, I'm not great with actors' names and everything.
Well, I'm sure you're a teenager. You could hit your phone and within 2 seconds tell me what
Google
it is.
Google it in 2 minutes and I'll have it. I'm ready for you. And
you don't know what an encyclopedia was like back in the dark ages.
Oh my gosh! Oh, I talked to my mom. I talked to my grandparents. I got a little bit of knowledge.
Okay. Favorite book?
That'd be an interesting one. I'm reading right now. Well, I'm reading a few things right now, but I think one of the favorites that I'm reading is I don't know if it would be like a self-biography, an autobiography, of Mike Pompeo during his time as Secretary of State. And it's a really, really interesting read to get into the mind of somebody that is in, just leaving public service and government and seeing people's life story. Kind of like with what you're doing, talking to people and learning people's background is important. And knowing, people's value sets and how they grew up, it really shapes a lot of people's lives. But that's an interesting read. I really like a lot of realistic fiction too. A lot of stories that seem like could be relatable to people, but necessarily aren't 100% true. But you think this could be somebody's story. Right. It's just not mine, or it's not somebody directly that I know.
Favorite movie or genre of movie? Or maybe the last movie you saw, if you have time to sit down and watch a movie.
Yeah, I'm so busy. I'm so busy all the time. I haven't seen a movie in a hot minute, but I really trying to think of one that I really, really liked. I mean, genres, I really like comedies.
Mm-hmm.
I really like, like crime or thriller.
Mm-hmm.
Those are really cool. Not a horror person. That's
Mm-hmm.
like scary movies aren't my
I
thing.
mean, neither.
Not an adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
But classics. The Godfather.
Mm-hmm.
That's always a go-to.
Mm-hmm.
All of them, because those are cinematic masterpieces to
What was your
anybody.
favorite? What do you think the best one is?
I think the first one was the best one.
Right.
I think the second one was good. The third one,
Right.
it was good,
Right.
but I'm like, it could always be better. They could have
Right.
fine tuned, but it's an appreciation for the art.
Sure. Favorite food?
Favorite food. I'd say tacos.
Okay.
I like tacos.
Now, homemade tacos, Taco Bell?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not
Okay.
Taco Bell.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fast food person.
Okay.
But no, like a homemade beef taco. Yeah.
What are your fixins in it?
Gotta have lettuce.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta have tomato.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can do a little salsa.
Mm-hmm.
Sour cream, cheese, maybe some hot sauce in there. If you're
going
spicy.
sauce, it's hot, not mild or medium. You're gonna go with hot.
If I'm going sauce, it's gotta be hot.
You didn't mention soft shell or hard shell. Or it doesn't matter.
I'd say soft shell.
Okay.
I'd say soft shell. But the real kicker is soft shell and hard shell.
Do both?
Yeah, that's a life-changing experience. You should try that. You should try that one. You'd be surprised.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll give it a whirl.
Yeah.
Your favorite leisure activity? Do you have one?
I would say either sitting down and just reading a book, or like summer comes around to like just, maybe go outside and read a book. Or I really like kayaking during the summer.
Oh, cool.
That's something that I've been kind of getting into. And that's a lot of fun because there's a lot of great places around Rochester that you can go kayaking.
Do you kayak by yourself or with friends, or what do you do?
I usually will kayak either with my mom or with my grandpa.
Okay.
That's something that we kind of bond over the summer.
Oh, that's great. All right. I always ask this question to guests, and sometimes they go, well, that's a great question. And they got to think a little bit. 3 people from history you'd like to have dinner with, if you could bring them back from the dead, or relatives, anybody, and why?
I would say the first person I would want to have dinner with would be Abraham Lincoln. Because he was one of the founders of the Republican Party movement, and he was president during, a very tumultuous time for the country. And it'd be interesting to pick somebody's brain, that during such an unstable time was able to calm the storm and keep things together. So him, trying to think of other.
You made some tough decisions too.
Yeah, very tough decisions.
Trying to give you some time to think a little bit.
Yeah. I would say maybe the second person would have to be a family member. Okay. Somebody that's passed. It would probably be like a great grandparent.
I've had people answer that way. Somebody that either passed before they were born or they didn't have a lot of time with. Does that?
I'd probably say my great grandfather, and I think I was maybe 2 when he passed away. Just because he was also a veteran, and he was somebody that was a family man and had a simple life, but a really good life in Rochester.
Did he serve in World War?
Yeah, World War II. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, he was part of the Normandy invasions. And it'd be interesting to talk to somebody firsthand and see those experiences because it's a lost generation. A lot of people have passed that served in World War II, and it would just be interesting. Trying to think of a third. Trying to think of a third person now.
I don't know. Sometimes people go to the celebrity route or pop culture.
Yeah, maybe because it's still somebody in government. I would say John F. Kennedy.
Okay.
Because
are you going for the assassinated ones? Oh, jeez.
I know the 2 presidents that I pick, but that would be another interesting president just because, again, his election was very close. It was a very tense time with the civil rights era and the civil rights movement, and even though he didn't have as much time as many other presidents. He still was able to accomplish a lot when it came to advocating for civil rights and being able to navigate a lot of difficult geopolitical crises that were happening at the time. I just want to be in their brain and, you know, sit down and ask them, like, what was happening? Like the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Wasn't it the closest we ever came to?
Yeah, that's what they say
nuclear
was
war.
Yeah, that they say it was the.
Well,
closest.
maybe I don't know about now, but like,
yeah.
when I was going through school, you were
then, yeah. But they say that's the closest we've got. You know, it'd be interesting to pick somebody's brain, and you know, they say he didn't sleep for almost 14 days during the
no kidding
Cuban Missile Crisis. So somebody that was under that amount of pressure and was able to be successful in de-escalating that's somebody admirable you'd want to talk to.
Sure.
In my opinion.
Where do you want to be in 5 years?
In 5 years, I either want to be in graduate school and continue my education, or I want to start out working for a non-for-profit organization or for a politician or a public servant that I agree with and I think is doing really good things for the community.
What do you think it'll take to do that? I get it. Graduate from college, get great grades, but fostering your personal.
It would take a lot of conviction still, a lot of dedication to maintaining connections with people and staying involved. But I mean, I've already done that. I've already showed my commitment and wanting to get involved and stay involved. So I think it would just be continuing of what I'm doing now, showing up, getting involved with the community, talking to people, having frank discussions with people, and just continuing to be myself and be there. And like you said, graduate, continue with college, do all of that.
Right.
But yeah.
I forget who said it. Somebody said 90% of life is showing up. I mean, it's more than that, but like you said, being consistent and all of that. Anything I didn't ask you that maybe you would like to bring up to me and our thousands of listeners and viewers?
Thousands of listeners. You covered a lot. You covered a lot. I think, like I said, I think it's great what you're doing, talking to people about their stories. And I think we covered a lot of aspects of my story pretty well. I'll do a little shameless plug.
Sure.
Go to Austin DeLorme or voteaustindelorme.com. You can look at what's going on with the school board run and the school board campaign. But no, I think everything else we covered, it was great. I had a lot of fun. I had a great time sitting down.
When is voting day?
So election day is going to be May 21st. If you live in the Hilton district, it'll be May 21st. You can go to the town hall, Parma Town Hall, and cast your ballot from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.
That'll be a little nervous day for you, but hey, you
just
know
a little bit.
Hey, you're 18 years old. You got plenty enough time to what happens. Well, Austin, even before I knew you were running for school board, you were going to be a guest on my podcast. And I enjoy podcasts because I get to learn about people and I learn your story. And you have a great story to tell. And I think moving on in the future, we're going to be hearing a lot more from Austin DeLorme. And your dad would be proud. And I wish you the best of luck on election night. Thank you. Win, lose, well, you can't draw. Hopefully we have you on again during college. But good luck to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much.